In 1928, he joined the Bulgarian Communist Youth Union, which was closely linked with the Bulgarian Workers' Party. During World War II, he participated in Bulgaria's resistance against the alignment with Nazi Germany, and was sympathetic to Bulgaria's Jewish population. Until the late 1980s, he successfully prevented unrest in the Bulgarian intellectual community. Membership in the Writers' Union brought enormous privilege and social prestige, and that drew many dissident writers into the circle of the regime-approved intelligentsia. Sports prospered during his rule. From 1956 to 1988, Bulgaria won an unprecedented 153 Olympic medals and numerous European and world competitions in sports such as volleyball, rhythmic gymnastics and wrestling. One of the first mass HIV testing programs was initiated in Bulgaria under Todor Zhivkov. By October 1989, 2.5 million people in Bulgaria had been tested for HIV, and 81 Bulgarians were diagnosed HIV positive. After September 9, 1944, Zhivkov became head of the Sofia police force, restyled as the Narodna Militsiya. He was elected to the Bulgarian Communist Central Committee as a candidate member in 1945, and a full member in 1948. Throughout his tenure, Zhivkov's dialect and poor manners made him the butt of many jokes in Bulgaria's higher-class circles. While the CSS secret police did clamp down on those who told political jokes, Zhivkov himself was said to have found them amusing and reportedly had an archive of them. In 1950, Zhivkov became a candidate member of the Bulgarian Communist Party's Politburo, which led to full membership in 1951. In the next few years, he was involved in countering the countryside resistance to forced farm collectivization in the northwestern regions of Bulgaria. In 1932, he joined the Bulgarian Workers' Party, later serving as secretary of its Second Borough Committee and as a member of its Sofia County Committee. Although the Bulgarian Workers' Party was banned after the Bulgarian coup of May 19, 1934, it still fielded a handful of non-party National Assembly deputies. The exact date of Zhivkov's birth was in dispute within his family, as his mother insisted that he had been born on September 20, 1911. He would say in his memoirs that the Orthodox priest tasked with keeping records of new births was reportedly drunk and forgot to write down the actual day of birth. He later managed to verify his actual birth date as September 7, 1911. Housing in Bulgaria improved significantly as more, and better quality, homes were built. But many of them were very cramped. The average Bulgarian house had 3 rooms and an area of 700 square feet. Housing was one of the biggest weaknesses in the Bulgarian quality of life throughout Zhivkov's reign. Residential construction targets in the 5-year plans were usually never met. Families often waited years for apartments. In Sofia, overcrowding was at its worst, and the wait for a home could be up to a decade. In 1965, former partisan leaders and active military took a critical stance on what they viewed as the revisionist policies of Zhivkov's leadership. Generals Ivan Todorov, Goronya, Sviat Konev, and Solo Krastov organized a group of high-ranking military officers to overthrow the regime. The plan was to establish a pro-Chinese leadership in Bulgaria, based on Stalinist Maoist principles. Their coup was exposed, and between March 28 and April 12, most of the plotters were arrested and expelled from the party. Even before Zhivkov's regime, Bulgaria made significant progress in increasing life expectancy and decreasing infant mortality rates. Consistent social policies led to an increase in life expectancy to 68.1 years for men and 74.4 years for women. In 1939 the mortality rate for children under 1 had been 138.9 per 1,000, by 1986 it was 18.2 per 1,000, and in 1990 it was 14 per 1,000, making it the lowest in Eastern Europe. Upon becoming leader of Bulgaria in March 1954, Zhivkov carried out a policy of liberalization and de-Stalinization in Bulgaria, similar to the Khrushchev thaw in the Soviet Union. He took action against cults of personality within the country. Monuments considered part of a cult of personality were taken down, and places renamed. The most famous was returning Mount Stalin back to its original name of Mount Musala, and the city of Stalin back to Varna. Zhivkov resented the idea of himself being the center of a cult, and, when the residents of his hometown of Pravets erected a monument to him, he personally thanked them for their gesture, and then ordered the statue to be removed. The Turkish invasion of Cyprus in 1974, alongside a fear of the anti-communist regime in Turkey that was brought to power through a 1980 coup, caused Zhivkov and the establishment to fear a similar scenario in Bulgaria. He attempted to counter this perceived threat by attempting to trigger a second Bulgarian national revival through a series of policies collectively called their revival process. The most controversial was a decision in December 1984 to assimilate the Bulgarian Turks through the restoration of Turkish names to Bulgarian ones. It was met with harsh resistance among Bulgarian Turks, who viewed it as an attack on their identity. The first demonstration against the revival process took place on December 24, 1984, when 1,200 people peacefully protested in the village of Malechina without incident. But, the protests turned violent the day after, as the local police chief claimed the demonstrators had started throwing stones at the police and local fire brigade, which led to the authorities to disperse the crowds with a water. The